I've been trying my best not to talk about America recently because I've done previous videos on it. I said back in January before Trump took office, all the little things that potentially happen, and it's been happening. Doesn't come as much a surprise, but it does make America a less attractive place, I think, for the majority of people now. It's quite wild how far Trump goes into being a dictator. It's quite crazy to me. First of all, he's talking about like illegal immigrants, and then he's talking about like removing people's green cards and their right to live, reside, even be a visitor to America. It's quite crazy, and it's just it makes it almost makes me laugh. And the fact that look, on the one hand, I would say well, who's desperate to go to America anyway? But then, like, of course, there are people because you're seeing it. People go in waves trying to get into America. But the problem is, it's that ego gets to people, and I think, especially the higher up in the authority of America, like with the government and things, the idea that I think they think everybody would just love to be an American. Most of us couldn't give a shit. I don't care. I don't. It's not attractive to me at all. An 8 to 10 hour flight, um, just to be harassed. Have your freedoms taken away from you, and all sorts of things. It's like, nah, it doesn't. That's not my idea of fun. Not my idea of fun at all. And I think being a tourist and living there is two different things. Totally different. I think for most of us in Europe, we're quite fortunate. We have Europe on our doorstep. We have all this culture and beauty, and it's far cheaper. So, what's not to like on your doorstep? But again, this isn't about like just rounding on America per se, because I like this is when I have problems with America, it's not really the American people, although you'll always have pockets in society of delinquents, if you like. People that are just absolutely crazy, people that are unhinged, people that maybe they try to act intelligent and really they're just very narrow-minded. If you can't expand your mind, then you lack intelligence, don't you? Because you're not even leaving room for growth. So how the hell? But again, it's like getting through to some people. It's quite a wasted energy. But it's just for me, it's getting a bit crazy the way America's closing itself off to the rest of the world. First of all, it's a bully. Now it's locking itself entirely. Um, Literally, it's almost like what they're scared of. That's what it perceived to be. Like if you close all your borders and you start acting weird, it's like why though? One thing I will say though, that I don't like Trump. Never trusted Trump. I think he's unhinged. I think he's a narcissist. If you stroke his ego, he'll love you for it. If you sort of disrespect him in any way, you can guarantee that's going to cause a reaction in him because he's hurt. But he doesn't articulate very well, so it never comes across intelligent. Even if he has an intelligent thought, it doesn't really come out that way. Quite crazy for a president, really. And you just can't help but look if it was a different person in charge, someone with intelligence, someone with moral and character. America could be thriving right now. They're really positioned as a lead, like, in a lead position around the world. By the time he leaves office, who knows where America's state's going to be? So one thing I would say is, and I said it to my daughter before Trump took office. In fact, I think it was during the presidential election and things. I said he'll be good. It'll be good if Trump comes to office, and she couldn't believe it. Like 'cause most people know he's unhinged. And I said what he will do, and this is I still stand by that. I wouldn't want to go. I don't really want to go America while he's in office. It's too bad. But what I said at the time, this was back last year, is that he will cause chaos, and America and the world needs a bit of that because the problem is it got stuck in a status quo. So we can look at the chaos he's bringing, but look at what was happening before. There was corruption, but it was almost like accepted corruption. It's just the way the world is. I've done previous videos. Even if you look at like the insurance and the pharmaceutical companies in America and the corruption in the government and the elected officials, they take money to make this decision. It's never for the people. It's never of service to people. So even without Trump and someone else in office, it's still corruption. It's just a bit more less glamorous. It's maybe not so much, not much. You'd notice in your everyday so much, but he does it all very much in your face. But what he's doing is he's really shining a light on the corruption itself because he's corrupted. So he thinks he's the savior, but really he's just churning it all up. So people can start to look at politics and go, I don't trust it at all. It's like, well, now we're all on a level playing field here. Now we're all seeing the same thing now. It's not like pockets of people are seeing it. By him churning it up, We're all seeing it, and I think you're seeing that with the Musk situation, where people have really taken exception to him, and they're boycotting Teslas and even going no further than that. And I'm not saying I envisioned all that. I'm not sure. I don't look that. I'm not that deep into the thinking process, but I knew things would get churned up. And for that, he is going to have done something in his presidency, I think, that really needed to happen. So it's not always going to be beautiful, and it's not going to be fair. And I think he's going to go further than perhaps many of us ever expected. But it's kind of like you got to just let him churn, let him keep churning. He'll dig his own. He'll dig his own grave. He'll pay the consequences. All these people, these tyrants, once their day in office is finished, they get held accountable. He did last time. This time he'll try his best to sort of cover it up, to try and make sure that nothing can happen after. There'd be a bit more manipulation within it all, really, which is kind of why he's changing, if you look at the laws and all sorts of people in power, to make sure they facilitate his needs rather than challenge him, because he needs to make sure that when he leaves office, he's safe. So a lot of people, when they follow people like that, they don't realise that, wait a minute, you might feel powerful today, but you're going to feel incredibly weak and vulnerable later. Because you're going to everyone gets held accountable. So when your day comes and you're no longer in power, that you're everyday person, you're going to be vulnerable, aren't you? And the thing is, I find is he's trying to stop people entering the country. I bet these people expect free passage into every other country, though. One wall for you and different for them. And again, that points out to the elitist attitude that stems within politics. Even in the entertainment industry and things. And like I said, that's all going to get churned up. People are going to start noticing that. What we're seeing is when people are subordinate, they do as they're told. People above, whose posture above, can feel powerful. When people rise together and they have a common enemy, I guess, or a common goal, common cause, people together in numbers are incredibly powerful. And you see that now with the Musk situation. Now, I won't focus on Musk. I was more focused on Trump and the way the world status is, and the way that you can look at the structure, and the fact the turmoil will create a fundamental change, I think, felt for generations. He'll be the catalyst of that, even if he didn't mean to be in the way he is. That's how I see it. So I'm just intrigued. I just watch on, sometimes in horror, but just understanding. I look at the bigger pieces falling together, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense, because he's going to do all this, and there'll be change, because it's not sustainable anymore. So yeah, anyway, so people, the way the Musk situation is, where the Tesla stock's going down, apparently a lot of his assets are tied towards his Tesla stock, so he was using that to leverage deals based on the having that as his collateral, whatever you call it. So yeah, but not having that, he doesn't have a wealth, so it's all tied to shares and stocks and things, and if it's worthless, he's worthless. So that's quite interesting for someone who is supposedly the world's richest man, or close to, or something of. Kind of pointless things, really, accolades. I think sometimes power gets to people's heads, especially greed does. So yeah, it's like a morbid curiosity at the minute, but I don't want to keep commenting on America, because I know they're going to go through so many ups and downs. There's going to be so much chaos, so much challenge to humanity. It's going to be really, really horrible at times for people. I'm seeing it now where people can't even re-enter America after they've left. So even if they've got a green card, they're getting sent back. So their entire life just gets left behind, and whatever that means. And it's just no care for people. There's just no integrity, no morality. It's just, for me, it's crazy. But for me, that just typifies the American politics and governance for so long. It's just people haven't opened their eyes to it. They haven't really been prepared to sort of look. And for me, it's just shining a light, really, on how it's all been. I mean, you only had to look at the California fires recently, where apparently if they just funneled the water down to the reservoirs, or opened them, or whatever it was, the homes wouldn't have been destroyed. But yet, because of potentially corrupt politics, that wasn't happening. You think? I don't understand that. Like, how is people not the priority? Again, it's like people get put in power who are elected. They begin as elected officials to serve the voice of the people. That's kind of that's the whole point of politics and governance. But what do? They start taking bribes. They'll call it they call it a sponsorship handouts. They use other words for it, but realistically, it's a bribe. It's a coercion tactic to get people to do their bidding powerful people, and have a bit of influence. So I've even said before, I wouldn't be surprised. I actually wouldn't be surprised if I thought it before Trump come in. I wouldn't be surprised if Musk has bankrolled Trump coming to office. So Trump's really the one pulling the strings because he bankrolled. Because you only had to look at Trump before. He had huge legal issues and he had financial issues before he came into office, before he started running for president. I noticed that. He had nothing and he was asking, even on his social media, for help to fight the legal battles because he didn't have the finances. All of a sudden, Musk turns up, starts supporting Trump. Trump starts running for president. And then he ends up winning the presidency on the backing of Musk, which gets Musk into positions of power and influence. All of a sudden, he gets to freaking live some sort of like childhood dream of being like the president of America, but pulling the strings from the side, thinking people don't notice, but people are noticing. And I wouldn't be surprised if Putin was favoring Trump in the first place. So helped, with the propaganda and all that shit they do. So it's just, there's so much corruption, but I think we're going to see it over time. So it might very well be that the deals that he's doing at the moment with Putin, and Putin's maybe being a bit tough with him at times, it's probably all just to play like a theatre. They know how it's going to play out, but we can't give it away too easy because it would be too obvious. All this shit. But I think we'll see, by the end of Trump's term, I think we'll just see an awful lot of corruption brought to the surface. And I think, personally, just from looking in, I'm not American, I don't know the ins and outs deeply, but from the outside looking in, it seems to me the entire political system in America needs to change. Like, people keep saying America has the best democracy in the world. It's like, I think it has the worst. Or at least it has close to the worst. It's pretty shit, in all honesty. And that's just my opinion. You don't need a dictator in charge. I think when one person wields so much power, I think that is very dangerous. I think it's very dangerous. I think, okay, you had a head of state, but they should be answering to people too. It should be a group, a consensus. I think, like I say, one person having power. You're already seeing it now with Trump. He's trying to, he's making executive orders and he's trying to undermine Congress. And what's the other one? Oh, it's gone. But anyway, Senate. So you've literally got one man trying to undermine powerful people, groups of power, who are supposed to be working for the good of the country, but he's trying to be a king. And I said that. All of a sudden, people started doing sound bites and saying he's acting like a king. I'd already said that beforehand. Now, I'm not trying to be all like Mr. Perfect, but I'm just saying I'm aware of things and I watch. I'm very analytical, and I was seeing him posturing like that, and I just thought it's actually quite wild. Like, this is mad. And yet people, and then I say a lot of Americans think it's the best democracy in the world. But actually, the way I see American politics, and I thought it for a long time, I just consider it to the Roman Senate. Yeah, look at the Romans. What did they say? I mean, you see it in the movie Gladiator and things. I'm not saying I'm in Rome, but I'm saying from what I've witnessed and the things I hear, and you see this, and you learn from history. And it was like, there was those lines in the movie where they said, effectively, all you've got to do is entertain and distract people, and they will love you for it. Even if it's gore and blood and all this stuff, it's like, as long as you're entertained. And look, to distract slightly, going off topic, sports is like the Colosseum of Rome. Sports allows us to distract ourselves away from the mundane. So let's say you go to work, you're miserable from work, it's exhausting. You don't get long off, you get let's say, typically, now obviously people work shifts, they work different days. Average, let's just say you work 8, because I don't think most people work 9 nowadays. I think it's 8 till 5. But most people don't even get a lunch break anymore. You have to pay for it. It's ridiculous. So anyway, let's say you work 8 to 5, so you have to get up early enough that you have to just get into work. You're tired for the evening because you're trying to unwind from the hard work you just done, but then also you're preparing your mind ready for the next day. It's a freaking mental battle. Oh, the sport's on. Oh, that's a distraction. And then what happens at the weekend? Oh, there's more sport. Okay, so just literally all you're doing is working your ass like a mule, so literally paying in your taxes, and then people in power can distribute and decide what to do with that taxes. Now, sometimes it'd be for good, sometimes it'd be to waste, sometimes it'd be benefit very, very wealthy people. Well, that's nice. Nice for them. And your prize for that is to be distracted by sports, which is like a challenge, it's competition. It gets us our mindset completely engrossed in something else. Almost like something, it's a bit like religion, really, like where something's just bigger than ourselves. And it's nice to be part of something bigger, so we can feel like we're doing something. So even when the team you support is doing well, you feel like you're doing well, you know. Um, and again, I see all that is a distraction in life, and I feel like things like that were created for this purpose in itself. It's just an evolution of the Colosseum. Not saying I don't fall for it too, because I love video games. It's a huge distraction. There's loads of money to be made for the people in that sort of thing, and I like sports too. You know, so I'm not saying it hasn't distracted me, because of course it does. It's interesting. Um, but I know when to step back and things. And like I said, I'm very analytical and observant. But yeah, if you look at that, the amount of money that comes into that side of the business, and of course, who benefits? Governments and things benefit all from that, don't they? So, um, yeah. Anyway, so I just think this. I'm not going to keep talking. I don't want to keep. I don't want to keep heavily focusing on America, because, to be honest, it drives my head in, especially Trump. And I think so. From my point of view, I just need to um, take notes sometimes, but other times just leave what's to happen, because kind of like he's gonna keep churning stuff up. So things are going to come to the surface, and I think we just got like sometimes just let it for change to happen. So yeah, I just don't. But at the moment, I don't see any sort of like benefit to be in any eagerness to get into America right now. So I think the idea that people are desperate to get there, I think most people are just like horrified at the moment, to be totally honest, and thinking, nah, what we have's better. What we have's better. At least we have some sort of like democracy, and I think some humility in society. And again, this isn't necessarily go for the American people, but I do see snippets of footage where they can be very I don't want to say it, but let's say it. They can be racist and things, and people can be very selfish. Even something as simple like not being like it happens everywhere, but I think it's so prevalent in America. I keep seeing it's something so stupid and something so trivial, but it's just that it just shows the selfishness in the culture, though. I saw something, a video, the guy, people just keep leaving trolleys in the car park so people can't park their car. And I actually think, what an asshole. But then they try to validate it, going, I can't be asked to go there. Why should I go? It's like, mate, why? Because it's like taking accountability. You brought it with you. You put it back. Why make someone else's life hard? And again, it's all this like all about me. It's all about me. It's too much hassle, because you couldn't give a crap about anybody else. Is that American culture? You know, it's like, I'm sorry, it's just there's a lack of care amongst each other, but there's like this patriotism where everybody comes together and rounds together, but yet they don't even like each other. Find a sense in any of it. So if you look in general, and it's a generalized view, this isn't saying Americans are bad or America, I hate America. It's nothing to do with that, because there's good Americans, and America is a beautiful place. But right now, it's kind of like looking in it if you stereotype it, it's kind of like this looks very, very horrible. It doesn't look nice at all, and it's not something I would want to be visiting anytime soon. So if I was to travel to America at the moment, I'm making peace that it won't be until after Trump's gone, his presidency's finished. I can't see me going before that. Now, unless some big career opportunity happens, but even then, there's no guarantee I'd want to. You know, I've been thinking about relocating, moving home, doing all sorts of things, and now I'm starting to think I'm starting to I'm trying to watching what's happening in America is making me truly appreciate what I have, even though I have very little. I'm like, this is precious. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel privileged with my little. So I'm like, you know, I might, rather than keep thinking about like bigger opportunities and expanding, I'm thinking I might just start like upgrading my home. Let's start to invest in where I am now, and let's start settling a little bit more, because this isn't as bad as you perceive, you know. So again, I think that's what if people reflect upon their own life, I think you're going to see that the more you start to see chaos and reflect within, you start to realize, you know what, not so bad where I am. But yeah, I don't want to. I do try to be as delicate as I can, and I know I'm outspoken. I only say what I'm thinking. But I do realize sometimes, like if I say like I'm happy I'm not to go there, I don't want to go. You know, I do realize that there's people that are stuck there. You know, there might be Americans that don't want to be in America right now, and me rounding on America isn't going to make them feel any better about where they are. You know, so I am aware of that as well. It's annoying that the world is locked behind borders. I've said it so many times. I hate that, and I think Trump is just like amplifying it so much. And I already hated it in general. So now, like the way Trump's behaving is quite crazy. Literally, you get to the airport, there's no law. It's lawless because you haven't actually entered America until you actually leave the airport. So they can do what they want. You know, it's absolutely crazy. They can deport you. They can detain you. They can invade all your privacy, your dignity, anything they want to do in the airport. It's quite crazy, isn't it? Like it's a wild circus. It's a wild circus, and it's like I don't want to. I wouldn't want to go there. Um, it's just crazy to me. So like I see videos, and I'm going to show one example of the many I've been seeing. I'd already thinking this myself, and I saw the videos, and I thought I don't really need to do it because other people are talking about it. But I thought I'd do one little last one on it. But it come up about I'm not sure if it's this one specifically. Like, don't leave the country because you might not get to come back in. And all I was thinking was, who wants to come back in? If anything, get out while you can. You see, but you might stop people leaving, and it's like, oh, just go, and don't come back. It's a better answer, isn't it? Um, what a wonderful excuse to like not be able to pay your bills or something. You know, it's like maybe you've got a lot of debt and you've got to pay it back, and it's like I can't. They won't let me in. They won't let me in. That's a great way if you get regaining your freedom. What can you do if you can't get back in? Of course, the other side of that is I can't help but imagine how bad that would be. Imagine if you've got a home. I think this is the thing. A lot of people are just so um, cruel. People can be cruel because they don't put themselves in other people's shoes. They lack empathy. Very narcissistic. So they naturally go, "Oh yeah, good, good," and it's like they're still people. They're people just like you know. You just like I say it a lot. Some people are born into privilege. Might not be financial privilege, but like a national privilege. Just because you was born in a certain area, geographical location, country, it gives you a level of privilege that some other countries that nationals don't have. And but yeah, just because it's like we're all people, so it's like luck of the draw. You landed there. Luck of the draw. People feel entitled, and I never understand that. How can you feel entitled to it? Like you deserve that privilege more than that person because my parent was this or my parent was that. Yeah, but that's not you. What your parent is and was is not you. So if someone's successful in their lifetime, they achieve that success. You didn't achieve that success. Just because you have their genetics doesn't make you any more special than anyone else on the planet. And that's what really winds me up with people in general. Like, it really bothers me. Um, so where Trump's acting like everyone's desperate to get into America, it's kind of like he's really put America on a pedestal here, isn't he? But what he doesn't realize is, and I think we're seeing it now because people are starting to speak up, is people don't want to go to America now. At least people, what I would argue there is the people who have options don't want to go to America right now. Those that are desperate still do because they see it as the land of the opportunity and the land of the free, and really they're trying to do it for their children because they think there'll be a better future. Those who already have a decent living and they have choices for their future are looking on with more options. And I don't think many are really that interested in America right now because it's just not that glamorous. Um, anyway, I said I don't want to be too negative, but I can't help it at the moment. Like I said, I consider America like the Senate. The Senate of it is like the Roman Senate, and you think that didn't work out too well there. So why is America? Why is America's governance and political system based off of some empire? Like, what are you doing? It's like, what are you doing? Why not look at the modern times and look how other countries are governed? America's a younger country, yet they act like they're the oldest nation in the world. And it's like, maybe you look at the ones that have been around a bit longer and look how they govern their countries. Or maybe look at countries that have incredible democracy and they really do look after their people. Maybe look how they're governed and think, how does that differentiate itself? How is it different from America? So America's all about having power. And one person acting like a god isn't necessarily the best thing for people. So we're going to do, if it comes up. No, wrong video. There we go. So we do this video just quickly. It's interesting.
You have an H-1B visa or a green card. Do not leave the United States. Do not travel. You can travel within the United States, but even that could be risky right now until we straighten out all this crap that Trump and his bogus administration is pulling on everybody. People are getting stopped when they're re-entering the United States, and they already have green cards. They're permanent residents, H-1B visas, and they're being stopped, detained, and then their green card or their visa is being taken from them. Okay, and they either have to go to court, but in some instances, there was a doctor over the weekend who was flying back from visiting her family, and when she re-entered the United States in Boston, um, she lives in, I think, in Rhode Island, and she teaches at Brown University. A respected doctor, cancer doctor, and they took her H-1B visa, which gives her perfect legal rights to be here, work here, live here. And they took it, and then they stuck her back on the plane and sent her back to where she had come from. Even though a judge had ordered that she could stay, they had already sent her back on a plane. So if you have an H-1B visa, a green card, or you know anyone who holds one of these, do not leave the U.S. You will not be able to get back in.
Like I say, at this point, I'd rather be on the moon. Let's just leave it there.